Hey friends, welcome back to the Honeystead. This gorgeous mountain mint that we have growing here behind our apothecary is booming with pollinators and of course honeybees. You know, I'm just saying, I'm a beekeeper. I always watch and see where my bees are going. But mountain mint is one of my favorite mints. This has such a refreshing smell. I use mountain mint a few different ways. One of my favorite ways that I was taught to use it is to actually just pick a sprig of it and put it in your hair, because the mint smell tends to help keep the bugs away. But another way that I also use it is I take a leaf and I will rub it together kind of like that, because you want to get all those volatile oils. My hands smell like mint now. I wish you guys could smell this. And then I tend to just rub it on my arms, rub it down my legs, especially if I'm out foraging, or you know, knowing where I'm gonna be going into like tick infested or mosquito infested. But it helps keep the not so nice bugs away. But the good bugs absolutely love it. So I've actually been wearing a sprig of it in my hair all weekend long. We had a really good weekend here on our homestead. We had about 12 people come out, 12 wonderful ladies come out and enjoy our apothecary space, the living apothecary. We went and foraged for a bunch of beautiful medicinal plants that we have growing all around our property, and then of course some of our lovely plants that we have growing in our garden. This weekend was our very first weekend of hosting a 2-day women's workshop. Wildcrafting workshop is what we've been calling it. But we made tinctures, we pressed tinctures, we blended teas, we made salves. We talked about, you know, just how important it is to care for your body with not only herbs but also with food, what you're putting into your body. And then I had a few special guests. My friend Lucy, who came in, and she's a Thai massage therapist. I'm going to put her information down below, but she came in and taught about the importance of mobility and moving the fluids around your body, moving the your lymphatic system, and helping. So we started at the face and worked our way all the way down. And then my other beautiful friend Jessie came in and just talked about how she really changed her relationship with food to better support her body. And that's one of the big components that I believe when you're looking at herbal medicine, it's not always about just the herbs. You know, there are so many other factors that go into it. It is a full circle. It is mind, body, spirit, even, and of course, you know, of course the herbs. But so we kind of incorporated all of that this weekend and took the pause and realized, you know, sometimes as women we need to remember to take care of ourselves. So that is what we did. And I'm already looking at places and potentially doing some bigger things next year. Maybe a full-on weekend at a campground where we camp out and just have a really awesome weekend with a bunch of women. So we will be announcing workshops later. Right now I'm just kind of just living in the moment because it was such a good weekend. Lovely women, absolutely lovely women. And with that, I will share with you guys, we will be putting out more workshops. I think this weekend was just phenomenal. So stay tuned for that. We do have a workshop coming up in October. It's not going to be necessarily advertised to purchase tickets on my website, but it will be through the Homesteaders of America, so I will make sure to put Homesteaders of America workshop down below. That is a beekeeping workshop. It's a one-day workshop, but we get a lot done in one day between learning about setting up your apiary, getting into the hives, doing hive inspections, making salves, talking about the medicinal aspects of the medicinal properties that bees offer, And then of course, the most fun that we get to do is to spin honey. So that's coming up in October, and I'll put that information down below. And in one of my last videos, I was sharing about Avena sativa, Milky stage oats. We were able to harvest a little bit for our workshop, and I'm excited because I have to harvest a little bit more. So come on, we're gonna go over to the garden. We're gonna harvest some oat tops, some young oat tops. We'll talk about that, and we're gonna come back and get it set up as a tincture. So let's go. So I introduced this lovely plant to you guys the other day when I was taking you guys into our medicinal garden, and I wanted to just kind of share it with you guys because hopefully they're still good. So this is the oat top that I'm talking about. You can use this multiple different ways. This plant is called Avena sativa, and I did come and put out there about the whole gluten, being mindful. I did read about the potential of if you're sourcing it. There are some contraindications about if you have gluten sensitivity, but that does really very much apply if it's been cross-pollinated, from what I have gathered. So I'm just gonna put that out there. And any plant that I ever talk about, please do your own research. This is just gonna make you a better herbalist. But the oat tops right now, some of them are getting ready to kind of turn a little bit, but the immature oat tops, that is what I want. And when you kind of pop it open, hopefully, yes. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys this. Hold on. You want the milky substance that's inside of it. I think I accidentally messed this one up. Do over. This is one of my favorite, really one of my favorite medicinal plants that I use. I say that about all of them. So I'm going to just go ahead and apologize. But this is truly one of my favorite medicinal plants that I get to use. When it's immature, it produces a milky substance. See all that? See all that milk? I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, you can see that. That is kind of what we are looking for. That, oh, that's a good one. So it kind of like popped out. It's not bad. The other thing that I notice when they are perfectly ready is when they kind of start to fork a little bit at the bottom. I don't know if that's like the proper word for it, but that is a good way for me to say like, okay, we are ready to harvest. Now we harvested a good bit the other day when we had the workshop, and that was such a fun workshop. We were able to show everybody how to harvest it. Super simple. Of course, I left my basket behind me, but that is okay. So what I'm gonna do is I will show you. Very easy. All you do, take your hands, start it at the base of the stalk, and just pop and pull all the oat tops. That's as simple as it gets. So we got a good little bit here in this basket, and there's still a good bit to harvest, but for the sake of this video and the things that I need to do on top of all the other things, we're gonna go ahead and get one more last handful, but we're gonna go back and go ahead and start processing this as a tincture, which is exciting. One of my favorites. before we get started on setting up this amazing tincture, which I'm excited to be able to kind of share this with you and talk about the medicinal properties and talk about kind of my experience with this plant and how I use it on a daily basis. I wanted to just share this because I shared the link. I probably should have shared this with you guys before, but you're gonna get this announcement right now. So the other week, I had our local newspaper company come out and actually they reached out, they found me. I'm sure through all of your guys' efforts on sharing, and you guys are sharing and making this thing grow, which again, thank you for that. But they wanted to come out and do an article about how and why we started doing this, and went in a little history with my childhood, and you know where my husband and I, why we wanted to do this, and then the blessing of having, you know, my husband and I get this thing, you know, going, and then seeing my other family members coming in and being a part of it, which is beautiful. But I'll put the article down below, but it's Northern Virginia Daily. They came out, spent a good couple of hours, and did a beautiful article, captured some amazing, like this is probably one of my favorite pictures ever of me up with my girls. And so I wanted to kind of share that with you guys. So that will be in the description. The link will be down there if you're interested in possibly getting it. I mean, if you want to get the newspaper just came out today, which you're going to see this possibly tomorrow or the following day, but the July 18th edition is when it actually came out in print. So I'm excited about that. But I made an announcement in here in the newspaper that I have not shared with you guys yet. But I will share it because I'm very excited, and it's something that I've been very passionate about and has been the reasoning for all of this. But I signed a contract with the Homestead Living publishing company for my very first book that I have been working very diligently to start getting everything together. I've never written a book before. It's been a passion of mine to want to write a book, but yes, so I am making this announcement, and it will be coming out, and I will let you know as we get closer. I still have a little bit of ways because obviously I'm still growing and doing these things, and basically this year is growing the things for the content, but the book is going to be very much about, you know, the honeybees on the homestead and herbalism and all the things, and just how it's going to bless and benefit. And I already have an idea for book number 2, so don't worry. I have more ideas, it's coming. But I wanted to make that announcement with you guys because it's been something that I've been working on for a couple of years now, but now I'm feeling confident enough to be able to start getting my putting it together. So yeah, so more to come, a lot more to come. And isn't this a great, beautiful adventure that is just life? So I just had to share that with you guys, but I'm gonna frame this because I'm so excited, and I did go and get a few of them today so I can mail them out to my family members that are living out of state. I just think that that's really, really cool, and a good old-fashioned newspaper. I'm much more fond of a newspaper sometimes versus the digital copy. But anyways, I've got this beautiful bunch of Avena sativa, the young immature oat tops. And so what I'm gonna do is first get them all out of my basket. You're gonna see that there's gonna be some actual part of the plant that isn't exactly the oat tops. I'll pick them out, but I'm not gonna go crazy with this. I'm also gonna probably be asked, are you gonna wash them? You know what? No, I'm not. And the reason why is because, again, I tend to watch when we get a really good rain before I do my harvest. Now, if I was not harvesting from my garden, I would be a lot more mindful of that. And you could absolutely wash this, and what you would do is take it and put it in a salad spinner and just get as much moisture out as possible before you set it up in a tincture, or or dry it. And there's nothing else that I might have grabbed in here along the process of harvesting, but honestly, if this is in it, it's not the end of the world in my eyes, because we will use the oat straw as in a dried form in a lot of our teas. I will actually use dried form oat tops in a lot of our teas as well, because of the minerals that it has to offer. Growing Avena sativa was super, super easy. You just threw the seeds out kind of like it would like grass, and it grew so beautifully. I was actually late to the game on getting this started, but it still grew. So I kind of was a little bit of a rule breaker, I feel like, when it came to that, but look, we still got some, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I went ahead and picked through all of these unripe oat tops. I've got a good bit. I think I'm gonna go ahead and plan on setting up 2 tinctures, one in a vodka and then the other one to make a glycerin tincture. And that is vegetable glycerin, so no alcohol in that. That's a good alternative. You can use lower proof of an alcohol. I'm gonna use 100 proof because that's what I have, and that's really honestly what I mainly stick to, unless I need something a little bit higher depending on what the plant matter is. But that is something that you just do your research. There are people who will use a lower proof alcohol to be able to tincture the oats. However, I would probably do lower proof on a dried. I'd lean more that way. The reason why you would go for the lower proof is if you're seeking it more for the mineral. I'm seeking it more for the medicinal properties of it. And if I wanted to have more of the minerals, I actually really like dried oat tops in my tea blends, along with the oat straw, which I have them up there. I can show you what they look like. Actually, I will do that. This is the dried oats that we have, as well as the dried oat straw, and it's chopped up. Great in teas, super mineralizing. Now, I really like, when I hit my books and I start doing my research, I really like to see what each herbalist has to say. I know how using Milky stage oats, how it has affected me. The best way I could describe it is, for me, when I use Milky stage oats, it's like it's very calming. But it allows me to kind of just stay more mentally focused, if that makes any sense. I know that in life there's always a lot going on. This just allows me to just kind of just go with it, I tend to use it 3 times a day. I will use a dropper full 3 times a day. I can take it directly in my mouth, but if you're using alcohol, you can actually drop it into hot tea, and that'll help take the alcohol burn out of it. And we've been told it helps with the evaporation of some of the alcohol as well. But Corey Pine Shane, which I'm going to pull his book, this is the Southeast Medicinal Plants. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about what Corey Pine Shane had to offer in his book was that Milky stage oats, or oats in general, they're food for your nervous system, and they caretake the caretaker. That's really vital. We, as a caregiver, a caretaker, whether it's for a farm or children or elderly that you're caring for, sometimes we forget to fuel ourselves and fuel our nervous system. And so I really liked what he had to offer when it came to that, and it totally resonated with me. You know, I have been taking Milky stage oats now for a good solid 2 years, and it is by far one of my favorites that I get to enjoy. Between this and holy basil, that's my favorite. But you know, I've also been told that it's like as if your extension cord is frayed, it almost soothes that extension cord. So if you think about the extension cord as like your nervous system, and the nourishing of your nerves, that's what we want. You know, we want to nourish that. Now, Thomas Easley had something really good. I'm just going to reach and grab his book because I want you to see this, because I had it over here. We had all of these books out for our workshop so that everybody can kind of open them up and read about it. But this is the Modern Herbal Dispensary by Thomas Easley. And again, both of these books are on our Amazon storefront, which that link is down below. He shares that Milky stage oats works best for people with mental and physical exhaustion, who are irritable and lack of focus. I do know that when my cup is running a little too empty and everybody wants me to keep filling it, sometimes you can get really irritable that way. But for me, taking Milky stage oats on a daily basis, 3 times a day, and you can take it up to 5 times a day, you know? So for me, 3 times a day, because I try to do it around when I'm eating, right before I'm eating. But I think that is what is special. Just knowing how much it's helped me, and that is why I'm sharing it with you guys, because I don't know who this might help. One of the other things that I thought was really interesting about what Thomas Easley had to offer in regards to Milky stage oats, and this is more than likely from his own personal experience on working with this plant, but Avena sativa, the actual Milky stage oats, he writes and shares that it's helped with individuals, it's helped support individuals who are recovering from drug addiction. And now looking back at it and understanding the irritability, how it's nourishing for your nerves, so it's actually kind of like, whoo, cooling it down, I can understand the anguish that an individual is experiencing when they no longer can, when they're no longer getting the substance that their body has been used to. So of course their nerves are all over the place and they're just kind of haywire. So for me, that's kind of how I describe it, is it's just very calming on your nerves. And yes, I carry it in my purse. I have a bottle in my purse, I have a bottle in my car, I have a bottle beside my bed. And we're gonna make more, and I have a half-gallon jar already made. Like I said, I mix it in teas. I eat oats, oatmeal every morning. Again, you know, eating the food that is also good for you. You know, these are things that I want you to look at. But that is the goal. This is a lovely nervine herb, and how supportive it is. And this is why I'm sharing it with you guys, because I know that it may be beneficial. So let's start making this lovely, lovely tincture. We're gonna set it up 2 different ways. We are going to go ahead and set up one as 100 proof alcohol, and then one using a vegetable glycerin. So I will start with the alcohol first. And hopefully I have everything. I don't have everything put back because, long story short, like I said, I am still cleaning up from this weekend. But I'm gonna put the scale on with this. It's just gonna be easier. And then I'm gonna zero it out. You can do this by measurements. Again, the ratio for both of them are gonna be 1 part plant matter to 2 parts of your menstruum. However, if you wild craft it, and we call it wild woman style, it's, you know, you do what you gotta do. But it is zeroed out. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop. My goal is, I cannot see that, so I'm gonna turn it my way. My goal is to have we're gonna go, let's see. I'm gonna try 3 ounces. I'm gonna see what this looks like. I'm gonna see what 3 ounces looks like. Perfect. So I have 3 ounces of the oats. I'm gonna do the same thing for my other one, and then anything that's left, we will be drying. Because like I said, I'm gonna use it. So if I'm growing it, I'm gonna use it. 3 ounces. Okay, 3 ounces for each. So here's the part that always gets me. When you're doing anything with a fresh plant matter, the ratio, 1 part plant matter to 2 parts of your menstruum. I had 3 ounces of plant matter here, so that would mean that I would need to have 6 ounces of your menstruum. I'm using 100 proof vodka. Now, this is the part that I want you to see. This is actually a little more than 6 ounces, only because my hand got a little heavy. But your plant matter is not covered. So what do? So this is where you kind of have to, you do kind of wild woman style. You can get a weight, put it down. I'm gonna macerate all of this up with my immersion blender. But I wanted to kind of share with you guys, yes, I'm doing a 1 part plant matter to 2 parts, but this would not be good, you know, necessarily. So I am gonna go ahead, since I have more plant matter, I'm gonna add a little bit more, in all honesty, because again, I have it, and we have plenty of the menstruum, and I'm gonna add a little bit more, because this is all gonna be mushed up. Again, I'd rather have a good tincture. The other thing too is I didn't want to have all of that air left in there. I want my jar completely sealed. And even then, we're gonna kind of look at this, because even then, obviously it's starting to float to the top, but I still have room. So we will be topping it off with a little bit more alcohol. So do the best that you possibly can with fresh. However, you know, I'd rather have a tincture completely covered versus not. So I'm gonna use my immersion blender, and if we have to add a little bit more, we'll add a little bit more. Don't tell my mom I'm not using a tray. She's gonna be like, "Where's your tray?" I'm like, I haven't done dishes yet. So I'm gonna start very only thing that's a little hard sometimes when you're doing this is obviously the oats are a little bit, you know, gonna come out with it. So I'm gonna make a little bit of a mess, but I will clean it up. That is okay. Things happen, messes happen. And because messes happen, I clean. So this is for me. This is not for anybody else. This is 100% for me, because this is what I want to show you. I want you guys to be able to see, oh, I can do this. This is as simple as it gets. Beautiful. So now all I'm gonna do is make sure that I don't hit the button when I'm touching this. Safety reasons, you might want to unplug this. before you start grabbing it. But that is gonna be just fine. I don't have a towel. I just made a big mess. I'll be right back. I swear I only make messes when apparently my camera's filming right now, but I did go ahead and just cleaned up everything, and then took my immersion blender and got it cleaned up, because we're going to use the same one for when we do the glycerin. Now, there's still plant matter that is kind of exposed. I'm just going to top it all off with just the vodka, just to get it all completely up to the rim. But life happens, messes happen, everything happens. It's okay, not the end of the world. You know, just sharing it with 100 and how many ever thousand people are watching me do this, which is great. It's totally great. It's just great. And then all you do, take it, put your lid on it. I'm gonna set this one aside. No, I'm actually not gonna set it aside. Because what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna completely forget that, I mean, I could open it up. I'm making the same thing, but I'm gonna open it up. I can smell if one is alcohol and the other one is glycerin. So I'm going to go ahead and label it because that is the proper thing to do. So you're going to put what it is. I'm gonna say Milky Stage oats in 1:2 ratio ish, in 100 proof or 50% vodka. So 100 proof is 50%. That's 50% alcohol, 50% water with that. So 50%. And then today's date. You might want to get into the practice of putting a Venus sativa. I could easily put that, but my labels are a little bit small. So I'm gonna put today's date, which it's the 18th. I did share that with you guys. And boom, labeled. Don't mind my messy handwriting. My mom is the one that typically does the handwriting because she's got a lot prettier handwriting than I do. So that is gonna sit for 30 days. Let's be honest, it's gonna sit for 6 weeks. Maybe even a little bit longer, because sometimes that happens. I'm gonna store it down underneath of my cabinet that I have. So a cool, dark place until you get to it, and shake it every single day. And do the best that you can, and then after that we'll strain it out and you'll get that beautiful, yummy, milky goodness that this has to offer. So I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit more since we have it. And then we're gonna do the same thing, but with a vegetable glycerin. So we're gonna eyeball it. We'll look at that. We'll see what that looks like. The glycerin is a lot thicker and it's definitely sweet. And it's going to take a couple of minutes because what's going to happen is the air pockets that are below are going to end up kind of doing one of those. I'm going to make a big mess. I've already accepted it. Still need to get the stainless steel chopsticks. Still have to get those. That's on my list. Sometimes a chopstick or a butter knife works just fine. And the same thing I'm gonna do, I'm actually just gonna top it. Ooh, so sticky. I don't work with glycerin as much, mainly because I don't mind doing just the alcohol But I do understand, and I value what it has to offer. My thinking behind the two, and the reason why I'm like, you know what, I think I'm gonna combine the glycerin with the alcohol, is because the alcohol, after it's pressed out, is gonna have all the medicinal properties, and the glycerin might have more of the mineral properties. So if I combine the two in a tincture bottle, it's gonna taste good and also have both minerals and the medicinal, which I think will be absolutely lovely. I know I'm gonna end up having to top some. I'm gonna start kind of up top. You guys need a close-up of this. Alright, surprisingly, I'm not going to speak too soon, but surprisingly, I did not make a mess. Oh, no, just kidding. I made a mess. I'm just going to add just a little bit more to just kind of top it. And then we can put the lid on and label and call it a day. And I still have a good bit left over that we can dry in the event that we need to. But I'm gonna be treating these exactly the same. I'm gonna go ahead and keep them in a cool, dark place for at least 4-6 weeks, shaking them once a day. And then when I go to press them out, which means I take the plant matter and I separate it, I strain it through a cheesecloth, and I actually just get the extract, the liquid. That's what I want. That's what I mean by pressing it out. When I go to press them out, I may consider combining them in at least a small dropper full, just for myself, just to kind of see. However, I think that they both have something to offer, even truly just kept separate, which is totally fine. But this is going to be kind of a fun experiment for myself to see if I feel any difference mineral wise if I combined the two. Other than that though, they're both very special and able to be kept separately. And yeah, I'll keep you guys posted when we go to press this out in a good couple of weeks. So thank you guys for coming with me and enjoying this beautiful day and making one of my favorite tinctures. This is traditionally how I make it. This is new for me, but I'm excited. And as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.